Hey, what's up, everybody? This video is going to hit on a few different things. The first thing that we're going to go over is how to install Homebrew. We're going to go over how to install Git. But at the core of this video, we'll show you how to clone a repository and install it and put it on your computer. And we'll also talk about how to initialize a repository in GitHub and on your own computer, and then push your repository up to GitHub. So the first thing that we're going to talk about real quick is Homebrew. So anybody that's ever owned a PC knows how simple it is to install things on there. For a Mac, it's not as simple. There's things that you have to be able to download from the App Store. You have to be able to unpack it, like all of this stuff. So Homebrew is a way to kind of bypass all of that and download what you need to download when you need to download it. So I recommend everybody having this. It's the missing package manager for Mac for the OS. Like it says what it is. I'm just at brew.sh. So I'm going to go into my terminal. Anybody that doesn't have iterm2 can just command space, terminal, right? There it is. Bam. Cool. You have a terminal. I'm going to control V this guy in there. I have a package manager for iterm2. So some of my commands I type in might look a little different than your guys's, but the base commands are the same. And then you just return that from the command line. I'm not going to do it because I don't need to, but you guys get the idea of seriously? No command delete, whatever. The idea there, right? Like you guys can see what you need to do. Cool. After you install Homebrew, the second step you need to do is install Git. There's another video I made prior to this that explains Git, version control, and a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to talk about it now. You guys can watch the other video. Brew install Git. Basically, any command that you're doing with Homebrew, it's anything you want to install is basically going to be brew install Git, brew install node. Super simple. So you go into command line, just press enter. It's going to throw an error because I already have Git. But after you do that, you have Git installed. You're good to go. You can use commands now from your command line like git clone, git init. All of the Git commands are now available to you. And let's see. And like I said, we'll talk about that in the other video. I'm not going to go a lot into detail what I'm doing. So the next step that you guys might want to do is, first things, I recommend everyone make a GitHub account. You don't need to have a GitHub for this to happen. But I would, for the last step you do, but not to clone one. So, the first thing that I would do is get a GitHub account. Word of caution to anybody that's going into the web development program: when you're signing up for your GitHub account, they want your name to be like cross-platform. They want it to be the same as your LinkedIn. They want it to be the same as your Galvanized EDU one, all this stuff. So if you want to do Captain Silly Pants, sure, that's fine. But it's going to be hard to track, and it's also going to be something that employers look at. So keep that in mind. You're going to use GitHub as a tool to kind of showcase your skills. Sure, it's a way for people to help with open source and manage programs and applications, but at the same time, it's a good way for you to show off who you are, what you can do, and how much you've been doing. So let's see here. I'm going to go to basically what is a GitHub that I can go to? So I'm just going to go real quick to, nope. We're going to go real quick to this guy, Foundations course. So this is where a lot of my repos are going to be coming from. I'm going to pick something on here that I haven't downloaded. And so this is what the majority of your links that you get sent will take you to. This is what your standard GitHub page will look like. I'm going to send you guys a link to the Crayola organization so that way you guys can clone repos. You guys can't do this one. These are locked and only available to people that went through that program specifically, and not a big deal. On GitHub, everything that you want private, you have to pay for. Everything is just public as it is. Cool. So say someone's like, hey man, go check out this sweet project. I'm like, cool dude, I will check it out. So I'm just going to click on this clone or download thing right here. I'm going to click on this handy copy to clipboard, and I'm going to go back over to my command line. Okay, now before you paste this into the command line, you need to make sure that you're in the right directory. Cool, so like I do all my stuff in documents. So I'm in documents. And now here you go. I'm going to git clone, and I'm going to paste that guy right in there. And so now I'm just going to hit enter. Bam. So now that repo is on my computer. I own that. That's mine. I can do with it whatever I wish to do with it. So now it's called prep project 3, and I'm now in prep week 6 project 3. I can add them dot in there so you guys can see. And boom. Cool. So let's just see the README. Awesome. Styles. Just so you guys can compare. Cool. So this is what the style sheet looks like. I'm just going to go over here real quick and open up their style sheet. Like I said, you guys don't have access to this. Otherwise, we'll just slack out all these repos. So I'm going to convert them over to an organization you guys can all have access to. But look, we now have everything. Everything from this we now have access to. You can save it, edit it, do with what you wish. It's super dope. So that is how you're going to go through the link that I send out. You're going to clone. You go click on the link, copy it, get cloned in the command line, make sure you're in the right directory, and boom, you now have something to work on. We're going to get out of there. And so the next step that we're going to go to is I'm going to show you guys how to, if you want to say push a project up for whatever reason, to show people, to share with your family, to share with your homies, I have no idea. But I just think it's beneficial to learn. I might as well just knock both these out at the same time. It's super easy. So first thing you want to do is you want to get into that folder. So I'm in XK. Cool. So I'm now in XKCD, and what I want to do is git init, which is a special git command that initializes a repository and now allows me to be able to use git. So I'm going to do that. Oh, well, I've already initted it. Cool. So it's already good to go. Now, the first thing that you want to do is you want to git add, which that's actually, we'll show you guys git status real quick. Git status. So what this is telling me is on the master branch, which is what I'm working on right now, as you guys can see, I just added I have 3 files that need to be added. I have no changes to them. They've just been created. So I'm going to git add -a, which is a shorthand for all. So I'm going to git add all 3 of these guys. And if you notice that my thing after master turns green, I'm going to do git status again. Cool. And now these guys are all staged and ready for commitments, right? So I'm going to say git commit. And now before I make any commitments, I want everyone to understand commits are part of that version control system I talked about in the other video. They need to be concise and they need to be as specific as possible, because these are notes to yourself and to other people about what you've done and what's going on with the code. It's also smart to commit often. That way you're not getting done writing 7 pages or 100 lines and then you're just like, holy shit, what if one of these things are broken? Commit as much as you can and make your commits as specific as possible. Attempted to init repo, but it already exists. So exists, whatever. Cool. So we're going to hit it like that, and I'm going to press enter. And now if you check git status again, it's going to tell me we're on the master branch. It's got nothing to commit. We're ready to go. So my repo is good. Everything is now stored, and my version control is working as it should. So what's about to happen now is we want to now take this and push this up to GitHub. So that way people can see it from wherever. Because right now it's only available on my computer. So I'm going to go and I'm going to create a new repository. You guys will do this once you create your own GitHub account. It'll say create new repository. Boom. You're going to click new. You can call this whatever you want to call this. I would recommend it matches your folder name just because it makes sense to me. But if I wanted to call this blah, 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 it would still work, because all I'm doing is I'm assigning it a route to go. I'm not actually naming my folder that's on my hard drive, right? They don't have to match. But still, for shits and giggles, I always forget how to do this too. My brain does not work. XKCD, and I still think that's wrong. I think it's XKDC. Anyway, cool. So this is my route that it's going to go to. Initialize this repository with a README. I don't really want one, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and create a repository. Now what this is going to do is it's going to say, hey, cool, in this account, we're now going to create a repository called this. Here's its path, right? This is where this repository exists. Cool. Now, if you notice, there's nothing in here because we didn't actually put any folders in here. So what we're about to do is we're about to push this guy up, our guy from our hard drive to GitHub. And what's going to happen now is we have two copies of this. The main branch will be stored in GitHub, and if anything else that we want to do, we can work on the one on our local drive as well. So first thing we have to do is we have to copy and paste this. This shit is super simple stuff. If you've already initialized a repository here, and you've made all those changes, then all you have to do is git remote add. So literally copy and paste. Now, if you guys want to look, so that it makes, seriously, what's going on here? So it makes sense. I'm going to add a remote, right? And it's going to be called origin. And what is its origin, right? That it's this URL. That's where that repository exists. This can be whatever you want it to be. It needs to match up with the second step that we're going to do. But for the most part, it makes sense to call where the origin is and call it origin, right? This is where it originated. This is where it's from. This is where like the source code exists. Cool. Got it. So git remote add origin. The next step is we're going to push it. This is something you only have to do one time, right? When you're pushing up to this code specifically is something you only have to do one time when you're pushing up to GitHub. When you're creating the remote, you have to set it upstream, but we can use git push at later times. Anyway, check this out. So I'm going to git push upstream. What am I pushing? Origin. And what am I pushing? The master branch. I'm pushing all of it up there. So see how I'm working on master? So I'm git pushing upstream to this guy, right? Origin. See how they match? Master. I press enter, and it's going to push good Lord. Good Lord. It's going to push everything up. And it's going to tell me, look, branch master set up to track remote branch. We're good to go. Everything is 100% gravy. And now we do this. Voila. And now you guys can share this link with other people and they can clone or download your stuff. A whole thing opens up to you guys. There's just so much that you can do now. There's a whole separate section you get into with just Git and GitHub and a whole bunch of shit. I'm not going to get into it. You guys now know what you need to know to follow along for the next thing that I'm going to do, which is I'm going to put repositories up there. You guys can clone it and you guys can work on them by yourselves. So there you go.